Hi, everyone. My name is Lynette Davis with LynetteDavis.com, and I'm so glad that you are here with me today as I introduce my guest of this year's Be the Change interview series. So I am not going to hold you from her for too long. I'm super excited for her to be here, and I think I know you're really going to love the guest that I have for you. So, without further ado, welcome Miss Stephanie Lampkin. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, awesome. And thank you for being here. So, I know that everybody's like, okay, she's so excited. Who is this Stephanie? So, Stephanie, tell us about a little bit about who you are and your background.
Sure. My name is Stephanie Lampkin. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Blendor, which is a recruiting tool that circumvents unconscious bias in hiring. And the way we do that is we hide candidate name and photo and age from recruiters in order to highlight the skills and experience and education that actually matters to how well you fit a role. As studies have shown, simple things like a name change can significantly uh, affect how you're assessed. And so we want to remove that bias as much as possible in hiring in order to facilitate diversity. So a little bit about my background. I've been in tech for quite a while. I started coding at a really young age. I was fortunate to go to Stanford, got an engineering degree, 5.5 years at Microsoft, MBA from MIT Sloan. And this is actually my second startup, which kind of came out of my desire to demonstrate that the lack of diversity that we're seeing in a lot of tech companies is not just a pipeline problem, that women, people of color, LGBTQ, veteran, disabled people are oftentimes not even given a foot in the door. And so I wanted to create a platform that can not only connect recruiters with diverse talent, but also be able to produce data to validate that there actually are quite a few people out here that just need to get in the game.
Awesome, awesome. And really, that's what this series is about. You saw a need for change in the market with tech companies lacking diversity, and they are writing. I've been writing and following articles from companies such as like Facebook and Google saying, yeah, we do have a diversity problem and we're trying to fix it. And you say, okay, well, here you go.
Yeah, I'm going after that. Yep.
Awesome, awesome. So, I kind of started to bring it up, but to me, that's definitely something that's going to create a mega movement in the whole workplace, and it symbolizes change. But I don't want to say that that's all this is about. So, in your own words, what does be the change mean to you?
That's a really great question. So for me, I'm in the game. I'm here in Silicon Valley. I'm interacting with VCs and other notable founders and CEOs, trying to start a company, which is my heart, my passion. But be the change to me is also about being a representative of what is lacking, because I always tell people that, the reason why I'm even down this path is because my auntie was a computer scientist in 1984. So my first image of a computer scientist was a Black woman, and that was very influential in my trajectory. So for me, it's important that not only do I strive to be successful in building this company, but also continue to represent and be visible with what I'm doing so that hopefully I can inspire others like me to go down this path, because you really can't be what you don't see in a lot of cases.
That's very true. Representation is definitely important and it definitely matters because you're right. A little girl sees dolls. I remember they had that whole little doll experience, that little experiment with the dolls.
Hmm.
And, if there isn't a representation of them and they're playing with little dolls or watching cartoons with nobody who looks like them, they start to believe that they might be less than.
Yeah.
Um, or they can't accomplish anything. So I think representation is definitely important. Um, you kind of answered my next question. So I'm just going to go down the line here and ask you this. I personally think what you're doing is very important. But what if somebody's coming in and going, okay, yeah, you made this app, big deal. Why should someone care about the issues that you're working on developing solutions for?
Yeah, so there's a couple reasons why I think what we're doing important. I mean, the most obvious one is that equality is just it's socially important, right? Giving everyone an equal opportunity to excel, independent of where they grew up, their parents' income, their status, etc. Like America was built on the principle that everyone is given equal opportunity to pursue their dreams and be successful. So the fact that it's it's primarily white and Asian men that are given these opportunities, and oftentimes other people that don't fit a certain pattern are not is problematic socially. So that's one aspect of it. And then just the other aspect is that um, very soon 50% of our country will be black and brown, and we're about to see the biggest transition of wealth to women in American history. So the fact that these companies are creating products that aren't addressing the consumer change in this country, I think is a major problem. And the companies that do get it, I think, will excel. So we need to. I'm focused a lot now on tying the importance to diversity um, to the business case and not just the social impact. And we see that, in companies like Slack, where they have just figured out that having different color toned emojis is important. And other companies as well who are kind of building in diversity into their product features. So that's really how I'm focused on positioning this and why it's important long term.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I did see that with Slack because I did have to work in Slack a couple of times for a few clients. So I did notice that. And you're right, you do notice things like that.
Yeah.
You definitely do. And for those of you who are watching who are like, what's Slack? I will definitely put the links with this interview so that you can check out Slack and see if it's something that you want to use for you and your team. So a lot of the guests that I have on here are from different, backgrounds. A lot of people who are familiar with my series. Typically, I invite people who are nonprofit leaders or grassroots activist organizers, and every once in a while, I'll also ask business owners who come on because I believe in the product or the service that they're delivering and how it definitely contributes to some of the same things that these nonprofits and causes are pretty much campaigning for. So, as a business owner, rather than a nonprofit, how do you think business owners and somebody like a nonprofit can kind of come together to form something, maybe in a collaborative effort, to address the same types of causes, but in their own different fields?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of each entity understanding the priorities of the other and figuring out a value proposition for both. So for me, I'm working with nonprofits that are focused on the STEM pipeline, are focused on training diverse talent to close the skills gap in tech. And so the value that I get from them is access to people, to get more candidates on the platform and using Blender and knowing about the benefits of working in tech. And the value that I can provide them is giving them information about how well we're able to match their candidates with companies and show value in their organizations to companies, which they rely on for grants and sponsorship, et cetera. So I'm constantly meeting with leaders of nonprofits and organizations that are focused on the STEM pipeline and conveying to them, like, how can I help you reach your goals? And here's how you can help me reach mine. And I think if we open up the communication channels where we're focused on those priorities, there'll be a much more seamless way for nonprofits and business owners to work together.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I will put a note here that I believe I found Stephanie in the first place via Women Who Tech, I believe, um, in a Facebook group there. And I know that Women Who Tech have a conference, and if you don't know about it, I definitely would check that out, because that conference also exposes you to women like Stephanie here, who you probably wouldn't have known about, if organizations like that didn't exist, and you wouldn't know who to support, or, what they're working on and how to support them. So, before we wrap up, could you leave us with just one final takeaway or one actionable piece of advice for a young woman, black, brown, green, yellow, who is going, well, heck, if she can do this, if she can go out there in Silicon Valley, where what do they say, where the good guys, where the guy club is, and totally rock the mic and drop it. How can I do that? How can I get there? Because I am in the group, I have seen so many other young women who are trying to do things like you, and feeling a bit discouraged and wondering, how can they, break the glass or kick down the doors. So could you leave us with just one final takeaway with that?
Yeah, I'd say, as this is my second company and my first company failed, I think the biggest lesson I learned was the importance of seeking to solve a big problem. I think oftentimes our scope is too limited, it's too narrow. When we think about problems that we want to solve, oftentimes it's limited to only solving problems for Black women, or problems for women, or moms, etc. And there's a negative stereotype that forms that women can only really be successful in creating nonprofits or businesses if they're only doing things that are within the scope of women, right? And so that really limits uh, you know the opportunities, the resources that we're given. So I would say seek out big problems, and you can start small in terms of a solution, but think broader in terms of how this can scale to affect people globally, because that's what's really happening out here. Silicon Valley is a place where people think they can change the world, and so even though Black women, for example, are the largest demographic of new businesses, oftentimes they aren't scalable businesses. They're just things that they're lifestyle businesses, right? And I think that's really what's holding us back. So, yeah, my actionable advice would be think big and go hard.
Awesome, awesome. And you know what? You are correct about that. A lot of the new business owners that are coming out, especially with women, are typically, and I was kind of looking at this not too long ago, since I'm doing another research project, are typically, businesses like hair businesses, or, makeup,
Fashion or something for
things of that
moms.
nature.
Yeah. Mhm.
Exactly. And me myself, I'm a virtual assistant, so I wind up kind of going right into that same thing too. I
Yeah.
love what I do though, but
Well, that's important as well. I mean, if you want a lifestyle business,
Mhm.
that's perfectly fine. But
Yeah,
in terms of what's respected here, it's how can this yield a 10x return on my investment?
exactly, exactly. And I want to encourage those who are working, who they might be working a lifestyle business. However, it's a wall to hide behind, because they don't want to chase that big dream. They don't
Mhm.
believe that they can. And that's why I definitely wanted. I was so happy that Stephanie was able to come on here, because I wanted to show you that you can. She did. She does. She is. And so can you. So, Stephanie, if anybody who is watching would love to stay in touch with you, they want to download your app, how can they get in touch with you?
So, if you'd like to be on the beta, please go to www.blendor.com. And there's a really simple form box. You just put in your email address and we'll add you to the list. If you want to contact me directly, you can connect with me on LinkedIn and just reference that you found me through Be the Change. Or you can send me an email at hello@blendor.com. I typically respond to every email that comes in that inbox. And then you can also follow us on Twitter at Blendor.
Awesome, awesome. Well, ladies and gents, you wanted to learn how to be the change in the tech scene? There it is. That's how you can do it. And Stephanie, I am so glad that you were able to make it. We were going to make this work.
Yes, you made it work. You made it work.
Because you were over in California, I'm over in New Jersey, so I think it's 4 where you are.
5:15.
Oh,
Yeah.
5:15, 5:15, and it's 8:15 here, which means dinner time. So, so I truly appreciate your time. Everyone, I appreciate your time. I hope you gained some great value from this. I have all the links here for you to get access to Stephanie, and obviously you can watch this recording over and over and over if you need some motivation. So until next time, take care of yourself and don't forget to be the change. Take care, everybody. Peace.